Hi, I'm Yolonda Ross, and you're listening to You Might Know Her From with Ann and Damien.
Well, it's happened. Tyra Banks is out, and we're rooting for Tom Bergeron to come back in.
I'm so glad you reminded me. It was hot news. It's just like, it was to be expected. But what was her official reason for leaving Dancing with the Stars? She wasn't good at it, let's be honest. I love Tyra Banks, and I've been revisiting a lot of ANTM clips, which are really more horrifying than you could possibly imagine. But I have so much love for her, but also she's insane. And it seemed like the clock was ticking with Dancing with the Stars because she just had a number of mess ups.
I have never seen someone be a worse host. She just like wasn't getting better with time. You know, like normally you see someone and you're like, oh, they're struggling, but they're like figuring it out. And it's like, she just like kept being like saying people's names wrong and being like, sorry. And then like just would fuck it up, like would mess.
She like announced the wrong winner.
Like just repeatedly would fuck things up. And God bless her. I love Tyra Banks, but she was just not cut out for the job. I love Tom Bergeron. As Anne would say, he's one of the few men that I care about in Hollywood.
Put him on the list.
But I thought maybe he would get brought back, but it looks like they've replaced Tyra with Juliana Hough.
I'm obsessed with this because, you know, look, we've talked about it on this podcast before. It's like you like somebody ironically, you sort of like joke about this person, you send memes back and forth about a person with your friends for like, 3 years, 4 years. Somewhere along the line in the 5th year, you wake up and you realize, I think I care about this person. Mm-hmm. That's me with Julianne Hough. I have to say, saw her in POTUS with previous guest of this show, Susie Nakamura, and Julianne Hough was a standout. She was very charming, very funny. But I'm obsessed with her because she's like become a guru. I loved her when she was a judge on Dancing with the Stars. I think she's going to be great. She's unpredictable, but she will just keep plowing through. She compared JoJo Siwa to Joan of Arc. Oprah like put her on her cruise and was like peddling her nonsense guru-dom.
Didn't she get something, like she got like the energy pulled out of her asshole?
Yes, it was some energy guru saying like, look at the energy coming out of Julianne Hough's asshole. She's clearly so dynamic. And then she's like having an exorcism on the table. I mean, look, and of course, Grease Live. Look, I've counted the number of ways I love Julianne Hough on this show before, but I'm excited. I think it's going to be really good live television.
And with all that guru energy coming out of our assholes, hello and welcome to another episode of You Might Know Her From.
With Ann and Damien.
We're so happy to have you back here. This is our podcast where we, longtime friends, longtime collaborators, truly best friends, we break bread over the things that we are excited about in the pop culture sphere. We talk about what we hate, we talk about what we love, we talk about what we've missed, we talk about what we're binging, and then we wrap it all up with a great actress interview in the middle. That is the meat of it, and we are just so excited to uplift and center, as they like to say. We like to uplift and center the stories of these incredible women.
Happy spring, Damien. It has been a whirlwind of a month. You and I, of course, were in Los Angeles for a wedding together. That was really fun. It was like a firestorm of a weekend. We went out. We saw friends. We had drinks together. My partner was there with us. We took a lot of cars drunkenly together, and we got to celebrate our friends getting married. That was fun, and it also felt like a real culture shock. The weather was shitty. The weather has been shitty in LA.
Yeah, shout out to the shitty weather in LA. Shout out to our friends Naomi and Andy who got married. We're so happy for them. They're the best.
Yeah.
Shout out to our friends Brian and John who are longtime listeners because they really took us out in WeHo. And like we were leaving the welcome party. We walked into a record shop that was playing music and bought the original Broadway cast recording of Follies because she was like, I need it. It's a good deal. So then she carried it to the West Hollywood bars where she was like pumping it in the air and some gay person was like, you need to stop. So shout out to West Hollywood bars that were not into Anne throwing her record in the air and Brian and John for taking us. Thankfully, neither of us threw up, but it seemed like the kind of night where we both were going to throw up. There
was vomit surrounding us peripherally, but it was not either one of us that participated. So I was grateful for that. Yeah, it was wonderful to see everyone. I want a little more of that for us in 2023 because I know we're already like through Q1, but I'm ready for us to like travel the world together.
Me too. I'm ready for it. We need to get out there. We need to be talking to more actors across the globe You know, and like also I'm just like sick of doing it remotely, you know?
Same.
Like I love that. I love what it's made us.
It's allowed us a great breadth of actors. 100%.
And I agree with that. But I think we interviewed Rachel Shelley, she's in the UK. We've of course interviewed lots of people that are in LA, maybe some people that are in like Atlanta and DC and such, but
Canada even. We interviewed Megan Follows in Canada.
And where was Daphne Maxwell Reid? She's in DC?
Oh, she's in Virginia. She's in Virginia.
So God bless her in the DMV. Like we got to spread our wings, but I miss getting to like have a kiki. I miss getting to be like, what's your apartment look like? What's your house look like? Do you offer me a snack? Anyway, but I love doing this thing. I feel like there's so much to catch up with you. Like, folks, are you following online? There's a discourse about like, okay, Tom Cruise's son Connor is adopted, and then he and Nicole Kidman adopted him. But now people are like, Connor looks just like Tom Cruise, just like mixed race or black. And people are like, that is his biological child that he is acting like is adopted. And I was like, wow, I am fully invested. Like, I'm fully invested in Tom Cruise acting like Connor is his adopted child. I want to know who the mother is.
I have to do something because so they have another adopted child, Isabella, right? I think it's her name.
I think
I
that
should
she's
Google it right now because did you look at her face?
I think she's like disowned maybe because she. Oh no, maybe they disown Nicole Kidman. Because she like,
meaning those two kids don't talk to Nicole Kidman, but Suri Cruise doesn't talk to Tom. So it's
I think that's right, yeah. And then there were people posting pictures of Suri Cruise and Connor side by side and saying like that they looked alike.
They have the same face, yeah.
I mean, at first I was like, I don't see it, and then I was like, actually, this kid does just look just like him.
Isabella Cruz, I'm going to have to do a little bit more 1-to-1 with the face, but it's a very fascinating thing. You know, I love Tom Cruise and the insanity surrounding him so much. I love Leah Remini for continuing to just call everything out. You know, she doesn't not look like Tom Cruise. We're going to put this in the show notes, babe, of course. But I'm just going to send it to you now, Damien. You're going to send me a report on what you think about Isabella Cruz's face.
I'm waiting. I mean, if someone had said that was Tom Cruise's biological daughter, I'd believe him.
Yeah, same. what does it mean? What does it mean, you know?
Are you guys following the Gwyneth Paltrow skiing accident?
Damien's keeping us. Damien is E-News right now.
This is
I can't get enough of it. It's so strange, and she's playing into all of it so much. That prosecutor is. Ooh, does she need to be disbarred? What are her credentials?
Are you not friends with Taylor Swift? Did you not give Taylor Swift a Christmas present? Relevance, Your Honor. So cool.
Oh my God. I like that Gwyneth Paltrow just agreed to it. She was like, I'm going to go to trial because I believe in this. I think she's a lot, but also I think probably the guy ran into her, not she ran into the guy, because this seems ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know. She's suing for $1, you know?
Yes, this is the symbolic dollar that apparently Taylor Swift also sued for, which I didn't even know.
Yeah, so strange.
In other big news, not Gwyneth Paltrow related, but L Word Gen Q has officially gotten the axe at Showtime.
Oh, rest in peace. Rest in peace to Finley and Danny.
Sophie Suarez, Danny, Dre. I read a post that was just like, I mean, look, we laugh about the show a lot. I'm glad anytime there's queer people on TV. I'm glad there's anytime queer people creating TV. I'll watch it until it doesn't exist anymore. But really, the way the show ended is basically all of the trans and non-binary characters literally are dead, drunk, in a ditch, broken up with literally all of the people that are not the original cast members totally got the short end of the stick. In the finale, the series finale. And I just think, why didn't you give all of them a happy ending? Because you knew you weren't sure if you were going to get renewed. Just give everybody something that's mildly hopeful.
I mean, at least Sophie Suarez got fucked on a golf cart by Vanessa Estelle Williams.
Pippa. Oh, that show was a wild ride. Apparently it's going to be rebooted with Gen Q or L Word in New York. It's never going to happen.
New York Undercover, L Word, Gen Q reboot. What does it even mean? Is it going to be a reboot, the same characters but new actors? A reboot the same actors playing from the original one, or new characters?
I think they should just do a reimagining where it's the L Word but all new people, but it's in New York City, but it has some some of the same themes, which is just like people fucking each other.
So Gen Q, but in New York, without any of the old
with
cast.
Brand new people and not the old people. Yeah. My favorite fact that I found was this lesbian that I love, Xena Warrior Princess online. She is excellent. I follow her newsletter, and she pointed out that Leisha Haley and Kate Mendick are no longer following showrunner Marja Lewis Ryan, which I just
love it. Okay, so while we're wrapping up with our lesbian news, I just want to make sure everyone knows that Anne Heche was left out of the in memoriam at the Oscars. Fuck those motherfuckers.
Yeah.
She's a fucking movie star. Rest in peace to Anne Heche. She's so talented. Please check out her oeuvre and our episode with her. And A League of Their Own is like renewed for one more season, but of like 4 episodes only. But then like maybe that's not true because maybe it was like a leak. I'm like so confused, but I'm glad that they'll hopefully wrap up the ending of they'll get to wrap up these people in, to your point about Gen Q, like they'll get to wrap up the characters in some version of happy endings.
Right.
Like, here's hoping.
Folks, if you are a fan of the show, can you do something that we would love you so much for? And that's just leave a little 5-star review on the Apple Podcast app. We're going to keep it short this week, but please, it's the best thing you can do to keep us in people's ears, keep us in people's eyeballs, and let us keep doing what we're doing for you because we love to do it so much. So please open your phone, go do it right now. Thank you so much.
And I think without further ado, we should get to this month's interview. We were so happy to land the incomparable Yolonda Ross, who is just like truly one of those like cool New York artists that I've always looked up to. She ran in circles with like the Labyrinth Theater, with Philip Seymour Hoffman, with Michael McKay Williams, was like just has had a very cool, eclectic artist's career, and also has really made New York her home base for all of the decades that she has been working. So it was a real thrill to get to chat with her about all of the things. And maybe I should tease this, Anne?
Yeah, do it.
If you're an L Word fan, there's a really good Easter egg in here.
100%. Ooh. You might know her from The Shy,
The Get Down,
Whitney,
Antwone Fisher,
Stranger Inside,
Treme,
Go for Sisters,
and How to Get Away with Murder.
We are so thrilled because we are here with actor, director, writer, activist, Yolonda Ross. Yolanda, welcome to You Might Know Her From.
Hey, thank you. Wait, what did you say? That was all super fast.
We said actor, director, writer, activist. I feel like all of those things are true.
I know they're true. Yeah, they are true. They are true.
Okay, excellent. Well, we're so pleased that you're joining us here from Chicago. We appreciate you. So we're just going to dive into something because one of the things we love on the show is that we get to sort of dive into an actor's past. And so we were thrilled to discover something we already knew about, actually, because you star opposite a former guest of this show, Lisa Gay Hamilton, in the 2013 film Go for Sisters, written and directed by John Sayles.
Yes.
So just like background for those, because unfortunately the movie is hard to find, which is, first of all, upsetting.
Yeah.
But for those of you that haven't seen it, Lisa Gay's character is a parole officer, and you guys are like old time high school friends who are reunited when like a potential parole violation ends your case up on her desk. So you two sort of have to work together and end up having to face the past. So we were wondering what sort of backstory you created for yourself, and if you and Lisa Gay had the luxury on this shoot to sort of get to know each other and develop a rapport before you started filming.
As far as us getting to know each other beforehand, it was shot in California, so I was there a little bit earlier, and she lives there. So we got a little bit of time, but it really started once we were rolling. Because we got along really well, but we are also in most of the scenes together. There are a few scenes here and there that we have other people, but we have a chunk of the movie together. As far as backstory, she said I took her boyfriend, and I don't know, maybe I did in the past, but we were good friends, and I probably stood up for her a few times, kicked some ass here and there if anybody was messing with her, but that was my homegirl. Two people with different personalities, but besties.
Yeah.
We counted on each other.
The story goes that John Sayles shot the film in, I think, like 19 days and like 65 locations for under $1 million. And,
Yeah.
Ann and I have been talking about this a lot lately. Like, we listened to some interview that Ileana Douglas was doing where she said that was the era where you could, like, make a movie with your friends for $1 million. And so when we were thinking about Go for Sisters, we were thinking, like, this felt like kind of the last era of this type of independent film. Because, it's like, it's harder to get distribution now for smaller films, and a lot of things go to streaming services, and then kind of like there's a glut of that. Your oeuvre is full of independent, like beautiful, independent, character-driven pieces. Have you felt that shift in your career in the way that indie cinema is now? Now, like, Uncut Gems is an indie movie, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, that's a mouthful, and it's all true, and it's all interesting because it's funny to say that was like, say, maybe the last of times of that kind of movie being made, because that was still like 2014, I think, when that came out. And even that, I don't even think a lot of films like that were being made. Because, I mean, John makes his money writing, and film is his playground. So he spent his money to make that film. And when you hear John Sayles, you're like, oh, love of film. You want to be a part of that. You want to work with him, be a part of that legacy. And that's exactly what this was. And that's what it was to me. I had met him auditioning for another film that Lisa Gay was in, and then he wrote this one for us. So we did this. It made me feel like Cassavetes. We're living in the production house, doing this, that, and the other. And that's the kind of thing that I really love, as far as indie film. It's like, you have a group of people with one focus, and we're a family doing this, and we get it done. So, yeah, we had all those locations. We moved around. We did it in Mexico. We did it in California. I was up for a Spirit Award against, and this is another thing, and I know I'm getting a little off subject with this, but when you have these independent films and then you put 12 Years a Slave in that same category,
right?
We got a problem. We got a problem.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, film independent is for independent film, but there's a big difference between something that's like 12 to 15 million and something that's under $1 million. And then we're in the same category. I was up against Lupita for that. And it's just like, I wore a pretty dress and had a smile, but I'm like, everybody knows 12 Years a Slave. She's up for an Oscar tomorrow. Did you see this film? It's like, a lot of times people don't watch all the films. They might know your face, they might whatever. And I've had a bit of a luxury from having people, recognize my face, but not all the times do people see the projects. Just like how you said, it's hard to find Go for Sisters right now. And,
right.
And then you talk about the streaming that we're in right now. It's like TV right now is really in its golden age. It's the place to really go. But I will say this about some of these streaming services, like, say, Apple Plus. They put out great films. And if you can get a deal where you get it in the theater for a short amount of time or some amount of time, and then have it on the platform where people will see it as well, that's like the prime thing to be able to get. But it's hard because most of them just go straight to the streamers. So, being a filmmaker myself right now and trying to get films made after, being in labs with them and doing this, that, and the other, and people wanting, kind of the same film over and over, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. It's interesting so much. All of it has changed. And you mentioned, like, this is the golden age of TV. So let's get into it, because our viewers might know you best for 5 seasons on Lena Waithe's Showtime series, The Chi, as Jada Washington. So Jada's a home health aide. She's taking care of her son, Emmett, and his children. And of course, in season 4, your character is diagnosed with cancer. And this was sort of a big storyline that you got to bite into. You were adamant that you, as the actor, you were going to shave your head on screen. Can you talk a little bit about sort of why it was important for you to shave your own hair on camera and like what that day on set was like? Also, did you sort of have to take yourself out to decompress after that? What was the sort of aftermath of that day on set?
Yeah, like what was your aftercare?
Well, first off, I let the gray come in.
Me too.
But, that was a funny thing. Just like when I did it, I didn't realize I have like a ring of gray hair because I had never had my hair shaved. So it would just grow from scratch. You know what I mean? As far as like preparing for that day, at first I was just like, what are you guys going to do? What are you guys expecting from all of this? And I was just like, well, no, I'm not going to do it if there's not going to be any support for the character and all that and the story. And so, we started going through the season, and it was a weird season coming back off of COVID. And then to go into this story, I had worked with some organizations here in Chicago, the women of color going through cancer. And I was just like, we don't ever see us like this. Do you know what I mean? It's like, on TV, you throw a scarf on. I've seen women put a scarf on. Oh, I have cancer, kind of like mark out with makeup the brows and that. But it's just like, if anybody knows me, I like to be truthful with my work. So I wanted women of color to see me, to see themselves, to see how hard it is, to see that we see you. Because that's important, to recognize that somebody understands what I'm going through. It's not just me. So for her to shave her head on screen, I thought was important. And so I did. And that day it was really weird. The lead up to it was really weird. I mean, because yes, I'm becoming a character, but she's coming through me, you know what I mean? So I was fearful. I was excited to get through it. I didn't know if my hair would grow back. I started thinking about Jada's immortality, Yolonda's immortality, just how real that is, because anybody can get cancer at any time. And it was a weird release at the same time. Doing it was really heavy. And that was what I did for that day. And and I cried and, they cleaned my hair up because I botched it all up when I shaved it. But it was a quiet day. It was a quiet day.
You mentioned some of the work that you did in Chicago with like the women's health organizations and Black women in cancer research. Was that advocacy work that you did sort of informed by your work on The Chi, or had you been doing that in preparation for the role? And how did that work for you?
It was interesting because, there was some stuff that I did earlier for Jada being a nurse just in the beginning of the show. It wasn't specific to cancer. In this case, it was, and I wanted to find out as much as I could about what women go through because, in the text, it's not always there. So as much as I could show the realities of it without saying things or whatever, if it's not written, I wanted to be able to do that and just hear how they felt about things. And that's really what it was. I've lost several people to cancer and family members and friends, and it was a learning experience for me, being somebody next to somebody dying of it. Just the emotions you feel then, Did I do enough? Was I there for them? I didn't know what to say, and I ended up, talking at some of these groups because it was like, I hadn't ever spoke about it, my own personal feelings of losing people to it.
One of the things I love too about the show, some of the tropes of cancer storylines on these types of shows is always like a woman has a headscarf on and the man, like her love interest is like, you look beautiful, you still look beautiful. Like there was none of that. There was like a very self-possessed storyline for Jada, which I really loved. I think it was handled really beautifully.
Thank you. Yeah, I think they did a great job with it. And, and like you said, there wasn't a whole big like, oh, baby, you're beautiful, da-da-da-da-da. It was like getting that haircut, getting a lineup from your ex and having your family together. That was beautiful enough, and I think it said just enough in a quiet way, in a realistic way, because people don't always know what to say, but they're there.
Right. And for the record, you're currently filming season 6 in Chicago?
Yes, we are in Chicago filming season 6. Can you believe that? 6.
Wild.
It's bananas, and I love it. And we get to explore Jada and Darnell's new house.
Yes.
So that's going to be fun, Married Life. And I'm also rehearsing the play, which is called How Blood Go at, oh my gosh, why am I blanking? Steppenwolf. It's at Steppenwolf. I know. You look at me like I'm crazy. I know, like, oh, that place. Yeah.
Steppenwolf. Okay,
great. That's incredible.
No, it is. And what's so interesting is that the play actually deals with the medical industry as well. You know, it melts the past and present together in this play and shows the very difficult relationship between Black people and the healthcare industry in America, and how, you know, things from the past are still happening now, as far as experimenting on us, testing on us, and not helping us at the same time.
Right.
It's a great play.
The show is opening when?
March 16th to April 23rd.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Love.
Okay, great. Okay, Yolanda, one of the things we want to dig into, because it's sort of important to Damien and I, is the 2001 independent film Cheryl Dunye's Stranger Inside. This is about an incarcerated woman who finds out her biological mother is also in prison, and then she figures out a way to get herself transferred to her mother's prison. It's this small, character-driven piece, total ensemble, primarily focused on the lives of Black queer women in prison. You were, you know, as you mentioned, nominated for Best Debut Performance at the Indie Spirits that year. This was, I think, your first film credit. So can you talk to us about
so it's important to me too.
Yeah, right. So like, how did this come to you? How did you prepare for such a huge role? And can you say, like, was it collaborative at all? Since it was indie, it's Cheryl Dunye, who's sort of like an experimental filmmaker in many ways, and it featured so many great women.
As far as getting that part, it was my first film. I had only done an episode of New York Undercover, which was in 1996. And then like 4 years later, I got my next audition. So it was like I wasn't auditioning. I wasn't one of those people that was going out for a bunch of things. But I did book the first two that I got. And I had just left the fashion industry. The store that I had been working for, they closed up in New York, and I decided to take this acting thing seriously. You know, they gave us a great severance package. Let me figure out how to bartend, because I don't know how actors make money. Got this audition, and I literally auditioned for a month for that part. A month of auditioning with different people, different, you know, setups, people playing the mother, me going against other people for Treasure. And then when we were going to LA, it was still, I was testing with the group of women. And, you know, I will say this, when you know, ignorance can be bliss, because I didn't know any of the stuff because I'd never gone through any of it. So I'm just like, oh yeah, okay. You know, as of like now, I'd probably be more stressed about things like, oh, I almost have this part. You know, it's like you know more. So you kind of you amp yourself up more. But back then it was just like, okay, I'm just going with it. Oh, I got it. Oh, yo, great. You know, and becoming Treasure, since it was a whole shift of a different industry for me, it was a very interesting, eye-opening thing for me, because I had gotten bored with fashion. And when I had auditioned for the Dick Wolf show and then for this, there was something in that I recognized was exciting to me, that I was learning something new. And then to be another person for a whole month was incredible. Because, you know, there were things that were coming out of me that Yolanda would never do, you know. That opened up a lot of things for me. It opened up a lot of emotions for me. And they all came out in that film. And, it, you know, it's still interesting for me to watch that film. It's still my favorite piece of work, you know, for me.
It's really stunning. It's also like a part of the Criterion collection. We're going to link out to it there. They had it on Criterion for a while. I'm not sure if it's still there, but we're going to link out to it, because if you haven't seen it, it's great. Cheryl Dunye is a great filmmaker, and it's really a great showcase for your talent.
Thank you. I don't know why it's not on HBO, because it's an
crazy,
HBO
I was like, oh,
film.
this is exactly.
Yeah.
That's where I searched for it first. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why they don't have it on the streaming, because it literally, like, they did, I think, 3 or 4 films at that time. So it wasn't an HBO TV thing, but a lot of people don't know that they had an actual film division.
Right.
So yeah, it was part of that.
Okay, so go with us on this. It's like tangentially connected. So we are big, huge L Word fans. It's like our favorite show, you know? And you co-star in the unseen golden goose of unaired TV pilots, the Women in Prison L Word spinoff, The Farm. That also starred Laurie Metcalf, Melissa Leo, Famke Janssen, and Leisha Haley. Do you have anything you can tell us about that pilot that we have been wanting to see for years?
So wait, you've never seen it?
It's not available to watch. It never aired. It's like not even on YouTube.
The scene, Yolanda, that you have in your, like on your website.
Yeah, it's on my reel.
It's the only thing we've ever seen.
It's the
from
only footage. It's you and Melissa Leo. And she's like, Wade, you got to take your medicine. And you're like, no.
Take my meds. Yeah, you know what? What's so crazy is I had tested for the L Word, and I guess, you know, because I didn't find this out until we did The Farm, that, what's the creator of that show?
Eileen Shaken?
Yeah. So Eileen wanted me for that show, for The Farm. So I didn't get the L Word, but then The Farm didn't go. So I was, you know, pissed about that. But we shot it up in Canada, and it's based on this women's prison in Connecticut.
Oh.
My character had, I don't think we said exactly what the mental issue was, what she was dealing with, if it was like bipolar or what it was, but she wasn't on her meds. Like that was kind of like her whole thing as far as being an inmate in prison that needs medication and what happens when they don't, and just all the things that can happen. Melissa Leo was like a great cop that helped me out there. Laurie Metcalf was the person that keeps the prison,
like a CO or like a warden. Yeah,
she was the warden. And Famke, I don't quite remember what her character was, but it had the premise, like there were such rich characters, and it was so, you know, and it was the whatchamacallit that came from the L Word when she went to jail. That's how we ended up.
Leisha,
ended up there. So, and you know what? She's from Omaha as well. I didn't know that.
Oh my God, that's right. Yeah.
Crazy.
That's wild.
Her parents are not far from mine.
Is there any like Showtime connection there? Like I know that there's a lot of
years
in between, but like the Shy was like, is there like, were you in with them? Is there anything in there?
No, but I mean, that was all the TV shows that I've pretty much done were Showtime. Well, actually, there's some HBO too, because I also did Happy-ish that John Cameron Mitchell directed, and it was Phil Hoffman's show. And when Phil passed away, they just recast the whole show. They got rid of us.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that was bananas. Yeah. Having a show and then suddenly not having a job.
How did they deliver the news?
They didn't deliver it. They didn't. Shalom, who was the creator of that show, told us. Because, I mean, we were so excited about it. And I had just seen Phil literally on a Friday, and then Sunday he was gone. Because he was also helping me, like he was executive producing a show that I had created, that we were like moving on and looking for a showrunner. And he was excited about all these things because we were supposed to start shooting Happy-ish in May. And then we were going to work on this because he had just heard from Paul Thomas Anderson about directing the pilot on my thing. And I'm like, yeah, you know, it's like, this is exciting. But then when he passed away, I had to just put the show down because I also hadn't worked in TV really. You know, I did some guest star spots on Treme at that point, but that was kind of it. I don't even think I did the Get Down yet. So
did you know Phil from Labyrinth? Is that how you guys got to know each other?
Yeah. Yep, from Labyrinth. Great group of people.
Yeah. Is that a project that you think you might ever revisit, or is it?
Oh, dude, I'm not putting anything down. It's like, it's just getting the stuff done and getting the right people with it, because it's like, it's hard. It's hard. I mean, I write luckily, on American Gigolo, I got to write on 3 episodes. So that got me into WGA, which, thanks to John. So that's great. Yeah, but I do have projects. Actually, I have one that I want to shoot here at the end of the year. Working it out now.
Working it out.
Tiny Eve.
So you've worked with a lot, we were putting the pieces together and it was Yolonda's worked with a lot of auteurs, and a laundry list for our listeners here. John Sayles with Gopher Sisters, Cheryl Dunye with Stranger Inside, but David Mamet with Phil Spector, Todd Haynes, I'm Not There, Woody Allen, Whatever Works, Lena Waithe, obviously with The Shy, John Cameron Mitchell, you have a cameo in Short Bus, David Simon with Treme, Baz Luhrmann with The Get Down. These are big auteurs. Which of those people did you feel your talents most aligned with?
Oh, that's interesting.
They knew how to play to your strengths, maybe?
I don't know, because I feel like they picked me, so I feel like we are all aligned in different ways. I love working with David Mamet, John Cameron Mitchell. I thought Baz was amazing, and I feel like they all have different sides, different parts of me that come out for them.
Mm-hmm. Was there anybody who left a little something to be desired in the ways in which they chat, your eyebrows, left something to be desired in the ways in which they directed you?
Wait, is that good or bad? I'm not trying to understand.
That's bad. Somebody that didn't get you, or somebody that you thought was not up to the.
Oh, you think I'm going to say that out
loud? We got to try.
We have to ask.
Gotta ask.
Okay, so in that vein, you've worked also with a fair amount of women directors, which, we've been doing this for 130 episodes, and you probably wouldn't be surprised how many people really have barely worked with any women. But so, again, a list: Cheryl Dunye, Angela Bassett, Annie Silverstein, Victoria Mahoney, Anna Lily Armapour. Have you felt in those experiences that there's any fundamental difference for you being on a woman's set versus a man's?
What I have found is that women, I feel, pay more attention to details.
Yeah.
I really do. Things that I feel men sometimes just don't see. Their focus is somewhere else, but, details.
Yeah. Okay, we have to get into something very important, and that's, of course, that you play Whitney's best friend, come possible girlfriend, Robyn Crawford, in the Angela Bassett-directed Whitney Houston biopic opposite Yaya DaCosta. So until recently, there hadn't been too much written about Robyn, and a lot of diehard Whitney fans really bristled at the suggestion that Whitney might have been bisexual or gay. But the movie portrays Robyn and Whitney's relationship as a sort of intimate friendship with possible question marks. Can you talk about how you and Angela Bassett handled that sort of delicate dance on the film?
Well, it's Lifetime, so you couldn't go too far with anything. And as far as that relationship, we both felt this is a relationship of love, period. It doesn't matter what kind of love. This woman is here for this woman. And to show that to the fullest as a person that you care for. And that, and that's how I played it, because it's just that's who she was to Whitney. Somebody that loved her, that looked out for her, that was there for her. And that's how I played it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't anything more or less than that.
Angela Bassett worked with Whitney in Waiting to Exhale. Were you able to pick her brain at all for any sort of personalized stories or anything that helped you get into character or helped you?
No, we actually, it's funny when I played real people, outside of knowing their mannerisms, I don't really go too far off into their stuff sometimes. Because in Antwone Fisher, I was playing somebody that was real. Mm-hmm. And, I knew some things about her, but not much at all. And the same with Whitney, is going off of emotion that's on the page, not more than that.
So Hilton Als, the Pulitzer Prize winning staff writer for The New Yorker, mentioned in his, I think, really beautiful 2012 memorial post for Whitney that Robyn was often seen at like New York lesbian hotspots like the Cubbyhole and the Duchess back in the early 80s. And then everyone knew that she was seeing Whitney. Was that something that you were like aware of when you took on the role? I just feel like there was so much buzz around Robyn for so long.
Yeah, I mean, because, I grew up in New York. So It's like, when I got the part, I already knew who Robyn was. And what's interesting about that whole time period is I remember just being, somebody looking at TV and seeing the stuff with Bobby and Whitney and being like, oh, she had to do that because of work probably or whatever. Because it's like we all kind of knew her with Robyn. Mm-hmm. So there wasn't really a thought about it.
Did you ever hear this crazy story that was like Michael, like the Village Voice said that like, was it Whitney and Robyn, or was it Whitney and Jodie Foster and like Kelly McGillis?
No, I don't know that. I don't know that story.
There was a story that was like in the gossip rags, like in the late 80s about like Jodie Foster, Whitney Houston, and some like women fighting.
It was Kelly McGillis.
Kelly McGillis. Like, it was Kelly fighting over Whitney because she was like sort of talking to both of them, and it's like this crazy story, and I'm always like, who knows this story? Is it like where's like the kernel of truth in it? You know
what, I may have actually read the story, because like when you said that at first I was like, wait, what? And then like as you said it, I was like, yeah, I kind of do remember hearing about that, but as a story, like, because it's not like I knew any of these people or anything like that.
It just came out of that. It was buried somewhere in my brain. Okay, so Yolanda, as you mentioned, you grew up in New York, and so like based on our research, you are like a cool New York cred person. You moved here from Nebraska to work in fashion. Your day job was in a Soho boutique. You did extra work on SNL in the 90s. You're a member of the Labyrinth Theater Company. You had a cameo in John Cameron Mitchell's Short Bus. It's like so many of us long for those cool New York days. Can you describe like what that era was like? Like, did you feel like you were a part of a scene? Was it fun, toxic? Like, what was your best party from that era?
You know what? It was not toxic at all to me. I just felt like we were always making things. I was always going to like Antique Boutique or the other one, Canal Jeans, and just buying vintage stuff, clothing, carrying furniture, that people put out, carrying stuff back to the house, just always making things and having fun. I miss those days. I miss the days of creativity and seeing people looking different and being different. I just feel like right now people just put down a bunch of money to look like whatever they see in front of them and have no like eye for putting things together or making, actual talent to make things. Yeah. Because I was always with a glue stick and sewing machine and buying stuff because I used to make clothes all the time.
Damien mentioned you cut your teeth as an extra on SNL, but we've rarely seen you get to do like straight up comedy. Is that something that you're interested in doing more, or is like dramatic work where you really prefer to be?
No, I love dramatic work, but I actually have created a show which is called Frank Guyton for President, that is comedic because I love, comedy stuff. I really love shows like Southside where, you have like a story, who these people are, but then they go off and like do the craziest stuff. And that stuff is what I really like, that kind of comedy.
Yeah.
So yeah. I plan on doing some comedy. Let's make it happen, dude. You got a showrunner, a producer, is that a network you got for me? I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
Okay, Yolanda, we reached the part of the show we like to call the rapid fire. It's rapid for us. You can take time if you need it, but if you want to be rapid, please feel free. We're just going to fire off whatever we can, no segues, okay?
Also, like, we say rapid fire, but then we say, like, tell us this very long story. So
take it with a grain of salt. Whatever you need, we're here for you. Okay. Yolanda, you made a splash with Stranger Inside in 2001. Then, only a year later, you were acting in Denzel Washington's directorial debut, Antwone Fisher. How many auditions did you have in front of Mr. Washington? And in one word, describe that year from Stranger Inside to Antwone Fisher.
I had no auditions in front of him. I sent in a tape, and I almost didn't do that because of the scene with the kid. But I did it. And he said the thing that got me the part was that I walked off screen and just did stuff in voiceover, like it said in the script. He's like, for you to leave screen, you got the part. And I was like, okay. And then he almost got me run over on Melrose Street because he called me and said that I got the part. I was like, who's this? It's Denzel. I don't want to lose a call. Standing in the middle of Melrose. So, yeah. Wait, what was after that?
What was the one, in one word, describe the year from Stranger Inside to Antwone Fisher? Was that a wild ride? One word?
It was wild. It was 9/11.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It was crazy. Crazy. That was the word. Crazy.
Okay. You appear in John Cameron Mitchell's second film, Short Bus, and your scene features downtown mainstays like J.D. Sampson, Bitch, and Daniel C. What was the vibe on that set, since many of the scenes featured actors actually engaging in sex acts on camera?
I mean, it was fun. Our little scene was totally fun. I think they were all fun because everybody was very loving.
Was it like when you were on set, was it like when your scene was shot, were things happening, or were you guys like a separate day?
No, we were separate shot because, it's like, it's a real film.
Yeah.
So you focus on one scene and then the next scene. Our scene, there was no sex involved. So it was just a bunch of us sitting around, talking and stuff. And I will say this, JD is hilarious. Hilarious. So I could be around JD all day and just laugh.
Did that set smell like just like lube and like body? I feel like I would just be like, oh, I mean, like not in that.
There were candles burning in our scene. They might have been off scene. It had a nice scent.
Okay.
We were on like a furry thing.
Love it.
Yeah, no body parts, no.
It's an iconic film.
Yeah, I mean, and these days that kind of film would be hard to make, probably.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, Yolanda, between Gopher Sisters, Whitney, Stranger Inside, The Farm, and Short Bus, you've played a lot of lesbians and worked with a lot of notable queer women. We're queer, and we think you have distinct lesbian cred. Do you feel embraced by lesbians worldwide?
Hell yeah.
Okay, good. The love is real.
All right.
Okay,
yeah, and I was just going to say, my TV show with Phil, definitely lesbians. I got to get it going.
I'm excited for it to see the light of day.
We're ready.
Me too.
Okay, Yolanda, you have to say, drop the kids off at the pool and drop a deuce to Annalise Keaton in How to Get Away with Murder. When you're prepping for a scene like with an EGOT winner like Viola Davis, like was there any conversation beforehand, or was it just like a super method set? Like, what is the vibe?
We talk about having Prosecco later. I mean, we're friends, so we already knew each other. But yeah, we were definitely talking about having Prosecco later in the kitchen.
Okay, love that. Yeah. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you've been to Alfre Woodard's annual pre-Oscar Black Actress Party, Sista Soiree. What is the best or most surprising friendship or connection that you came away with from that incredible gathering?
From that, and that is an incredible gathering. Aisha Tyler, that's my girl. She's a filmmaker. She's everything. I love hanging with her.
She's smart. She's also a tall woman. Can you tell us on the record, Yolanda? We think you're a tall woman too. How tall are you exactly? I have a guess.
I'm like 5'7.5", 5'8".
Okay, great.
But she's definitely taller.
Yeah, okay. Okay, as we've mentioned ad infinitum, you did extra work on SNL in the mid-'90s, and you were featured in one of our favorite sketches, Janet Reno's Dance Party. Can you tell us, that was also with Rudy Giuliani, back when he apparently had a sense of humor before he lost everything. Okay, who was the most generous cast member that you remember to the extras? And were there any nightmare hosts?
Oh, man. The cast members were really nice. I mean, Will Ferrell was like always amazing. Okay. And his brother was always on the show with us, too. He's like cute. The dark-haired version of Will. Who else? I mean, I thought they were all pretty, that group with like Sherry O'Terry and Molly, that whole group was like amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that.
That was also that season. I don't know if you did multiple seasons, but that season also had like Jennifer Aniston, Donald Trump, Janet Jackson. Were you on any of those, all of those?
What? They were there?
They were the hosts that season. There were different hosts, so I didn't know what other hosts you were there for.
No, I mean, I was there. Yeah, I was there for a lot because I was there when Phil Hartman was there.
Oh my
gosh.
I went into that, like I started in that time, and then when the
I'm
switch
jealous. You were there with like Jan Hooks and Phil Hartman and Dana Carvey.
Adam Sandler was there. Chris Rock was there.
That's
Chris
crazy.
Farley.
Oh my God. Yo, Chris Farley would just wreck things all the time. He was just funny, and he liked to be funny. He'd like to make us laugh. So we were always seeing his butt crack. He was always doing something where his pants were coming down. He was funny. He was just a funny guy.
It's a great gig, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, but literally, it's like you're there. What else am I doing on Saturday? I wasn't working, and so I would be at Saturday Night Live. It's just an all-day thing.
Did actors get to go to the after party? The infamous after parties? That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
No, but we did get to hang out, see the musical guests and all that.
Yeah, so that's cool.
Yeah.
I think my favorite was meeting David Bowie, and he was amazing. He's just the nicest dude, the nicest.
I'm obsessed with that. Also, what a testament to you cut your teeth being an extra. Now you're it's very cool.
Okay, one of the things I'm obsessed with is the wigs in the HBO movie Phil Spector, written and directed by David Mamet. And though you didn't have any scenes with Al Pacino in any of his insane Phil Spector wigs, you do have a scene with Helen Mirren. Talk to me about the wig that they had you in and how distracting it was to act opposite Dame Helen in that dry blonde thing that she had on her head with bangs.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so two things. My hair was my hair. Hers
it looks incredible. Yeah. Your hair looked beautiful.
Well, yeah, I love hair, as you can see. So it's just curly, kinky. That's my thing. But yeah, her with that wig on, to play that lawyer lady, it was what it was. I mean, I was just happy being across from her. Really.
I love you in that scene when you turn and she's like, your husband's cheating on you too, and you turn back around.
Yeah, I'm giving her full dynasty.
Yeah, very good. Okay, Yolanda. Last question. It's very important. You received Indie Spirit nominations for both Stranger Inside and Go for Sisters. For your first nomination, you arrived on a motorcycle. Tell us that story.
I don't even know who that was, but I do remember that. I had that orange suit on. Oh my gosh, and I had orange on for the other one too. Yeah, I don't know. Some dude is like, you want me to ride you up there? And I was like, okay. And then I just got on.
It's so
that was
cool.
crazy.
We were looking, I was looking through Getty just to be let me look back at old photos. And I was like, this is so fucking cool. And I was like, the Indie Spirit Awards seemed like they were a cool affair. I don't know what they are now, but I used to love watching those. And and you pulling up in a motorcycle at your first nomination, I was like, that's so badass.
That is so funny because I completely forgot about that. Yeah.
It was really just a man and he was like, you want to ride up?
I don't know who he was. Yeah. I was like, yeah, I'll get on. Just ride me up there. And it's like, yeah, it was good. It's real good.
Yolonda Ross, this has been a total pleasure. Thank you so much for chatting with us today.
Thank you, guys. This was fun. This was totally fun talking with you guys.
Yolanda was interconnected with so many things that mean a lot of things to us, including SNL in the 90s, the L Word, Robyn Crawford. She also is a Midwesterner, which is something that we don't get a lot of on this show. I feel like we don't get to talk to that many Midwesterners, and I love that about her so much. But also, she's still doing Midwestern things, filming The Chi in Chicago as we speak. Season 6 is on its way to us. And also she's starring in a show at Steppenwolf right now, which is just, to your earlier point, she is just the consummate artist. She's a writer. She wants to direct. She's doing all of the things. And if you're in Chicago and you can get to go see her in How Blood Go at Steppenwolf, it's running through April 23rd. Please go see her.
I have to say that getting to talk about the farm, I mean... we've just been sitting on it for years. You know, like I've been following Yolonda's career. I knew that the only footage available of the farm was in her reel. So what a joy to meet her 10 years later on Zoom and be like, can you tell us about the farm?
Right. And getting to talk to her about that, like Hilton Al's piece, and about, she was saying, you know, like we all assumed that the thing with Bobby Brown that was happening with Whitney was like for her career, because we all thought of her with Robyn. And I was like, ugh, I feel like we missed that era by like maybe 5 to 7 years. And I live for that era of gossip. And I have to say that friend of the show, Jess Rothschild, did a great interview with Michael Musto that like goes down many of these like blind item paths and was very satisfying, and is about sort of like all the eras of New York City. And I highly recommend that episode about like 70s, 80s, and 90s New York City and all of the gossip embedded within that. Oh, it was delicious.
Also, something that I find really inspiring is when you see someone's like amazing hard work and their ethic and their talent meet the opportunity. And the fact that Yolanda started her career in fashion and was like an extra on SNL and now is, you know, a series regular on this successful Showtime series and has this like huge career of like indie films and indie Spirit nominations and has been on so many like, you know, prestige television shows. I just think it's really cool and like a testament to like the hard work that actors put in, because like you and I both sort of cut our teeth in the theater, but never like, neither of us had the thick skin for rejection. And I just, when I hear a story like that, I think like how beautiful that she like was hoofing it, like doing the thing. And I find it inspiring, and I admire artists like that and their resilience in their ability to like prevail, because I know that the ebbs and flows of the industry are so tricky and hard in all different facets, but especially as an actor where the agency that you have is so hard, especially when you're like, you know, not a name. So I just found that to be a very cool like moment to be able to be like, wow, you were an SNL extra, and like now we're talking to you because you're like truly a character actor who's like doing something with Steppenwolf and The Labyrinth and has this big huge body of work. So I thought that was very cool.
I totally agree. And I'm really hopeful that the series that she wrote that Philip Seymour Hoffman was like producing, that apparently has like lesbians at its center, will see the light of day. I'm very excited for her to sort of get that off of the ground. So please go check out Yolanda Ross's work. She's so good. She's so good in The Chi. She's so good in everything she does. And we're so glad that you joined us for this episode.
Folks, if you like what we're putting down here, you want to know more about Tom Cruise and Connor Cruise, you want to know more about Tom Bergeron getting fired for Tyra Banks, who's now getting fired for Juliana Hough, you're going to follow us on social media. You can find me at Damian Bellino on all of the things, and you can find my best friend here at Rodemanne. That is RODEMANNE. And we also have a new Instagram for this show. It's at You Might Know Her From. And there we are posting images and photos from Broadway shows of yesteryear, film stills, promo images, just cool Instagram photos that we like, you know, reels of amazing musical numbers or SNL sketches, all that kind of good stuff for guests that we've had, guests that we want, women that are no longer with us. But it's just a way for us to really like continue to document and, as we said, uplift and center these stories of incredible women in the industry who don't get enough fucking credit because the industry is disgusting.
Yes. And if you didn't know already, You Might Know Her From is completely produced by us. That's Ann Rodeman and Damian Bellino, the people in your ear holes right now. We want to thank the people that keep this train running. That's our consultants at Grumpy Entertainment, Jason Jude Hill and Danielle Sears. And all of that creamy peanut butter, smooth ass editing that you hear on each and every episode of this show is courtesy of the wonderful, the kind, the brilliant Danielle Sears. Thank you, Danielle.
Special shout out to Gang. All that music you hear in your ear holes underscoring each and every episode of You Might Know Her From is by Gang. You can download and stream Gang wherever you listen to your music.
And if you need to see that photo of Yolanda Ross appearing at the Indie Spirit Awards on a motorcycle, guess where you're going to find it? That's right, it's in the show notes. I spent a lot of time compiling all the stuff that we talk about. In case you're interested in digging deep, we're going to have side-by-sides of Connor Cruise and Tom Cruise, Isabella Cruz and Tom Cruise, and we'll even put Suri Cruise and Tom Cruise up there too, just in case you need to do all of that work tonight in your bed.
I had a coworker, you know, I have a relatively new survival job, and my coworker said to me the other day, I said, I had coconut oil in my beard for the whole morning and you didn't say anything to me. And he said, oh, I didn't even notice. He said, are you exhausted? And I said, okay, motherfucker, I know I look tired, but good God. My body is okay, but I'm feeling very tired lately. Very tired.
Yeah.
I'm convinced I have mono again.
Oh, no, Damien.
Remember when I had mono for years and I never knew?
Yeah, were you like like you went undiagnosed forever?
Yeah, it's when I like had all those sinus infections. I was like dealing with mono, but I never knew.
Was that not just you were allergic to the cat you were living with? That was a different time.
Well, Dr. Tina, you know her. She told me that I had mono. I had the virus in me, which means that I had it. So I had deduced that I had it that time period when they were like doing all these tests and they were like, we don't know. It's not a mono. It's not mono. And I was like, I bet it was mono. Or I had it another time and never knew.
Don't you love it when people that you see casually or people that you know from work will just be like, you look tired, you look exhausted. Don't tell me. If I am exhausted, I'll tell you, or if I need to share that information with you. But telling me that my face looks exhausted is not a helpful piece of commentary at my workplace.
Yeah, my mom on FaceTime a lot of times will be like, oh, honey, you look tired. I want to be like...
With the cock of the head.
You look exhausted, babe. Thanks, Mom. Don't want to talk to you again. Good night. Goodbye.
I'm going to turn on the touch up my appearance on this FaceTime.